What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're gonna go over 10 of the most iconic Superman moments of all time. And let's get straight on the video with number 10. Superman helps battle depression. Kicking off the top 10 comes from 2006's All-Star Superman number 10 issue. Superman arrives to find police talking a jumper off the ledge of a building. Instead of just going up there and grabbing her, he offers to talk to her instead. Our hero proceeds to listen to what she has to say and why she's about to commit suicide. With patience, he doesn't interfere with her wishes, as long as that is what she truly wants. Eventually, he allows her to sit on the ledge and regain her composure and think it out. Literally, the sun sets and the moon rises over the course of an entire page as he continues to let her decide. Eventually, he offers her advice and a different path, after which she steps off the ledge into his arms as he assures she's made the right choice to wait for one more happy day. The image is shared on social media every year during World Suicide Prevention Day, and one Reddit user even shared a story in 2011 in which he explains how this story saved his life. Number 9. Superman changes in a phone booth. Granted, phone booths are essentially a thing of the past, but as a kid, anytime I saw one, I'd imagine jumping right in and changing into a costume ready for battle. The most recent parody as of late in this tripe was the recent Deadpool 2 teaser trailer, where he clumsily gets changed just in the nick of time to not save the victim of a mugging. Though outdated now, it was a staple in the Superman universe for decades, but first originated from the Mechanical Monsters, the second of 17 Superman cartoons produced for Paramount Pictures in 1941. Just after phoning in a robbery to the Daily Planet, he exits to find Lois has been taken by the mechanical monster. He dashes back into the booth to change into his costume. Number 8. Smallville Finale. Clark dons the costume. Although more of a tease than a full reveal, it was a nice touch to see Clark, after 10 seasons over a 10-year period, finally get the suit that many felt was overdue. The final episode also pulled the heartstrings by having his birth father and his adoptive father gift him with the red and blue tights. In the final moments, Clark takes off into the sky holding the costume, while rapid shots of him blasting through the Fortress of Solitude show him suddenly suited up right before he explodes out of the roof and off into the distance. While many people groaned about how it was a cop-out, I felt it was a perfect way to send off the character after all these years. We don't need to see him in all his glory because we already know what's next. We knew before we even started the pilot episode. Number 7. Lois figures out Clark's secret. At this point, we can make a top 10 list of the times Lois figured out Clark was Superman. Between the comics, films, television, and Elseworld story arcs, it's been done to death. Starting in 1978, Action Comics number 484 is the very first time Clark tells his fiancée, Lois Lane, his true identity. As part of the 40th anniversary of the character, Clark is suffering from amnesia, leading to Lois finally putting the pieces together. Eventually, she helps Clark regain his memory, and ending with the Kryptonian wedding ceremony. While this was the first time she found out, I've also had a soft spot for the reveal of the 1981 film Superman 2. In the previous film, there was a little funny moment where Lois is reading the newspaper and keeps doing a double take between the picture of Superman and Clark standing in the Daily Planet office. But in the second film, through a series of scenarios put together by Lois, she is finally convinced that the two are the same, only to have her memory erased by Superman at the end. Number 6. Kingdom Come, Superman vs. Captain Marvel. Anyways, released in 1996, Kingdom Come is considered one of the greatest comic book achievements in the DC world, written by Mark Waid and beautifully illustrated by Alex Ross. This miniseries is presented to us in biblical proportions. Similar in scope to Alan Moore's Watchmen, the Justice League has stepped down and a new superhero, Magog, is now in charge of keeping things safe and even has resorted to murder. This leads to an uprising in a new generation of metahumans, superheroes, and villains. These superheroes have become more arrogant, and there's now a thin line between good and evil. One of the metahumans is Captain Marvel, who is equally half man, Billy Batson, and metahuman. If unchecked, he has the power of a nuclear bomb. It all leads up to a final battle between Superman and Captain Marvel to do what's right for the planet, even if millions of lives have to be sacrificed. Through this decision, Superman ends up on a rampage with his sights set on Lex Luthor for being behind this. Number 5. Superman takes flight in Man of Steel. As time goes on, our expectations in the quality of superhero films just keep getting higher and higher. Just seeing the character suited up on the 35mm lens for the first time in the 1951 television series, The Adventures of Superman, was enough to get people to tune in. But further down the line, we expect much more with every release. While Superman Returns was a good attempt and was the perfect tribute to Christopher Reeve's franchise, it just felt outdated. With films like Iron Man, the Dark Knight trilogy, Watchmen, etc., they've upped their ante on our expectations in the costumes, fights, quality, and of course CGI. The moment in Man of Steel that made me stoked was when Superman first takes off into the sky after visiting the Fortress of Solitude. This is the first time it actually looked and felt like the character was pushing the limits of gravity and actually clearing skies. While many may have a problem with Zack Snyder's films, the man knows how to shoot an action sequence and fits it perfectly into frame. Speaking of flight though, number 4, Superman flies around the Earth. As a kid, there were only 2 proper superhero franchises, Superman and Tim Burton's Batman. Sure, Marvel gave a try at Captain America, but it just fell completely on its face. When it comes to the Richard Donner Superman films, there's nothing more iconic than the final moments of each film. The last minute of each movie always ends up with a shot of the sun rising over the Earth and Superman making his way around the Earth towards the sun, always culminating in the final shot of the Man of Steel flying by the camera with a big grin on his face. With each film, the quality of the shot improves. Director Bryan Singer paid tribute to the shot at the end of Superman Returns, a continuation of the Richard Donner films rather than a full reboot. Number 3, The Dark Knight Returns, Batman vs Superman. This is quite possibly one of the top 3 battles of all time for either Batman or Superman. In the game-changing graphic novel from Frank Miller, we see the return of Batman after being in the shadows for years after Jason Todd's death. This older, worn-down Bruce Wayne is no-holds-bar at this point in his life, to the point where he doesn't think twice about murdering an opponent. Eventually, he becomes a liability and Superman has to stop him. Normally, this wouldn't be a big deal, but Batman never shows up without a plan. With new exo armor for hand-to-hand combat with Superman, he gives the Man of Steel a run for his money. When seeming all but defeated, Oliver Queen intervenes by hitting Superman with a kryptonite arrow made by Bruce. Now with the upper hand, Batman explains he could have made the arrow lethal, but wanted to prove to Superman he should stay out of his way. Unfortunately, Batman suffers a heart attack on the spot. But it's also revealed that Superman held back the entire fight, hoping to get through to him. Number 2, The Death of Superman. This story arc was the introduction to the Man of Steel's ultimate foe, Doomsday. While the movie Batman vs Superman wasn't exactly what everyone was hoping for when it came to the character, and had it immediately spoiled at the end of the first trailer, the film at least showed off the villain's powers properly. Engineered from prehistoric Krypton, Doomsday's strength and regenerative abilities proved to be more than Superman could handle. Over the course of multiple issues, the two battle it out until they end up beating each other to death. In Clark's final moments, Lois holds the battered body while pleading for him to hold on. Personally, saving this matchup for a solo Man of Steel film would have been preferred because we're missing out on the one-on-one aspect. While the film Batman vs Superman may have watered down this encounter, we'll always remember this as one of Superman's most memorable battle. And number 1, Superman can't save his father. And to top the list, we have one of Clark's first real hard-hitting lesson learned in his youth. To me, one of the few things 2013's Man of Steel got wrong was how they handled the death of Jonathan Kent. This is ultimately the man who shaped Superman to who he is and makes him a true superhero. The television series and movies have always leaned heavily on this iteration of Superman. The one most fans have stuck to though came from the 1978 first motion picture outing of Superman. At the start of the film, Jonathan Kent, while working on his family farm, dies suddenly from a heart attack in front of Clark. It's a huge moment because no matter what powers Clark has, he couldn't save his father no matter what. And that is it for the video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. We hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.